I did so well at the first one. Right, okay, thank you to Maria. She's reminded me to record this, so thank you very much, my lovely. So this is the second card, and I'll put this back on so you can see it as it's intended. So the card looks like this, and you don't have to put the belly band on. I put it on because I didn't know what to do with the ribbon and I hadn't used it. You don't have to use it. I've tried to create a card that's got a few of the different patterns of paper in it. And this one stands really, really nicely. So I will talk you through what you need for this, but you can get the card and the belly band out of one sheet of A4 paper if you did want to use it. Okay, so that there is your A4 sheet. Okay, so although it looks like you use loads and loads of stuff, you don't. Now, when you look at this, I've actually cut this out and stuck it on, but the reason I did that was because the stamping underneath was terrible. So I had to do a bit of a budget job. So you've got your card base, which is Blackberry Bliss card, and it's 15 by 29.8 centimetres. That's an A4 length. So we're basically not cutting the length of an A4 down, we're just cutting the width. So 15 by 29.8. And then we're going to score it. I'll talk you through that. And then the belly band is the rest of it, so 6 by 29.8. But I'll put the belly band to one side and we'll just work on this piece here. So where's my trimmer? It's my trimmer. Right, we're going to do a couple of score lines, and we're going to score at 10.5, 18 and 25.5. So if I put that there, you should be able to see it. So 10.5, 18 and 25.5. So that will give you 4 panels. So it's really hard to see on blackboard, although it's picking up the light, which is quite nice. So you're going to fold all of this in. So fold the first panel, the 10.5 strip panel underneath. And we want to crease that with my bone folder. That one looks so well fit. Give that a nice crease. And then you're going to fold it back on itself. And then fold it forwards. So you're doing alternate folds every time. So you end up with something that looks like that. Kind of really crease that, those folds. So this is where you can choose what patterned paper to use. I've gone with 2 of the different Blackberry Bliss designs. So one is very plain and one is more busy. And it does use a fair amount of DSP. And I've layered some of mine onto card, but you could get away with using less if you wanted to. So if I talk you through the other pieces that I've got here, and I'll talk you through what goes where. Okay. Right, so you have a layer of basic beige card that is 10.2 by 14.7 centimetres. And that layer sits inside in that back panel. Okay. Stick that down. I'll do it as we go. So that's going to sit in there. You can see that like so. And then the DSP that goes on top is 2 millimeters smaller. So I've gone rogue with my measurements this time. So this is 10 centimeters by 14.5 centimeters. If you wanted to just use the DSP rather than that backing layer, I would do the DSP still the same measurement. So it sits in there like so, not slow. There we go. Now you've got another piece of basic beige. This is 3.9 centimetres by 14.7, and that is your panel for here. So I've closed the card, and that's the panel that is going to sit like so. And stick that down. And then I've got the same patterned DSP, and again 2mm smaller. This is 3.7 by 14.5, and that sits in that basic beige panel. So you can see the first panel and the third panel, or first and the last panel, now look exactly the same. If you wanted to use lots of different papers though, feel free. Then if we open the card up, we've got these middle two panels. So this is where I've used a different pattern DSP. They're both the same, but they're different to the first pattern that I've used. So you need two pieces, and this needs to measure 7 by 14.5 centimetres. And they get stuck on there and there. I'm not too worried about this panel because I'm actually going to stick this panel down. So don't worry about covering that panel there. Let's have a little hair in my glue. Always fun. Um, and there we go. So now when we close the card, we have our middle section with that nice plain DSP, and then when we open it up, it's on both panels. So it's up to you whether you want to stick this down or not. I've stuck mine down, but you don't have to. If you didn't stick it down, it would have that extra fold in it. But it's up to you whether you do that. And then I've added on the back of mine my space to write my message. So that's a piece of white that measures 9.5 centimetres by 14 centimetres. And that gets stuck on the reverse of this here. So I'm going to do a little line now. I feel like this is my little obsession. Okay, so that's on the back. There we go, there's that bit. I'm just going to cut myself a little banner. So I've used the die from the Regal Flora suite for this. If you didn't want to use the die, if you don't have them, cut yourself and you wanted to use the same sentiment or a similar sized. This measures 8.5 centimetres wide by 4.5 centimetres. So if you wanted to have a similar look to this, but you don't have that die, use that measurement. So that is 4.5 by 8.5. Okay, I'm just going to cut a die shape. Depending where I put the dies. I had them a minute ago, didn't I? There they are. This. So this is my die shape, and I'm going to try and stamp this straight, which I didn't manage to do yesterday. So it's wishing I were there to give you a hug. I'm stamping in Black Bliss to match everything. Much better than my stamping yesterday. So then if you didn't want to stick that panel down, you want to attach this banner to this first panel here. Because if you stick it to this middle one, it's just going to be pushed up and not look very pretty. So on this one here, my original card, I've stuck that panel down flat and then put my banner on so that it just looks like that. But if you wanted to do it so that that panel isn't stuck down and you have an extra fold, make sure you stick your banner to this first panel, if that makes sense. If I'm not making much sense, just tell me. So I'm going to do that on this one so you can see the comparison. I'm going to use a little bit of this foam adhesive sheet, which I seem to be using all the time at the moment. And then that is going to go, I'm putting it in the centre so it looks like it's in the middle of the card, but I'm only sticking it to that front panel. So it ends up looking like that. So those are your two options. Leave that panel open and stick it to that first left-hand side and it stands like that. Oh, here's Sebby.
Sebby.
Who's that?
Sorry.
He's joining in. No, he's fine. He's going to go and find him. Go on, go in the garden.
Well, he's on the bed and he can see people walking past my front bedroom.
Oh no, he's saying hello.
I might have to close the curtains, otherwise it's going to be like this all day. I let him have a little bark because he thinks he's guarding the house.
He does, he's doing his job. So then, or you can have it like that. It's entirely up to you which way you choose. And then all I've done to decorate it is I've stamped two of the images. I've just used the leaves actually because there's quite a lot of leaves in the paper pattern. And I have bought in the colour that's on the belly band. So I've used the Wild Wheat shade of DSP. So I've stamped one leaf in that just so it kind of matches a bit. And then I've just chosen another colour, which is Pretty Peacock, for that. Where's my paper? My scraps box is running low. So let's do Wild Wheat in that one. And then I've done that one in Pretty Peacock. Would have looked nice in Black Bliss though, wouldn't it? That would have been an idea. That. Oh, just use my die. Sorry, the one pieces here. I wouldn't threw the dies in the bin then. That wouldn't have been a good way to go, would it? Right, and then bringing this back in, I'm going to put one leaf there. And one. Oh, please there. There we go. So that is my card front done. And then we need to work on the belly band for those of you that want to do that. So we're using that strip that we cut off the A4 card to start with. So it measures 6 by 29.8. It could be a little bit shorter, but I've just gone with this measurement. So the best thing to do with the belly band, rather than actually scoring it, in order so that you know it's definitely going to fit and it's not going to be too snug, I like to do it like this. So I've got my card and I've laid the belly band so that the card is in the centre of it, but tucked underneath. And then what you're going to do is really lightly fold it round, but you don't want to fold it so it's too tight. You want there to be a little bit of room for manoeuvring it. Then you want to make sure that those folds are straight. Okay, so once you've done that bit, take your card out and you can put your card to one side. Now you're not going to need it again. And then you want to do it late, so it's fold it over so the edges meet and you've got a flat banner so everything all lines up. And then repeat the other side. Now before you stick it down, you want to make sure that it's going to work. So then you want to just try and get your card in and out. Lovely. So that moves really, really nicely. You don't want to have it so it's too snug or it's just going to ruin your card when you try and take it off. So then open it back out and you want to put a bit of glue down that edge there and then a bit of glue on that edge there. So you've kind of got opposites and then just fold it over to secure it. So that's your belly band. If you've used wet glue, just make sure it's dry before you start mucking around with it. And then the decoration on my belly band, I have used 2 pieces of basic beige card that measure 5.7 by 10.7 centimetres. And that will give you one on the front and one on the back. The bit on the back is really important because it hides your glue. It hides your area where you've closed your belly band. So stick those on. Just like that. And then your DSP, you've got 2 pieces again, and the measurement is 5.5 centimetres by 10.5 centimetres. And I've gone with that wild wheat shade, just because I think it's a real contrast with the black Regliss. And also, when we put the ribbon on, it brings the gold of the ribbon in. So there was a little bit of a method to my pattern matching when I made these. I love putting belly bands on cards. I feel like it makes them really special cards. Okay, so once you've done that, pop your belly band on your card. Being careful not to knock your decoration. And I like this, you know that there's going to be something going on, something on the card because you can just see little bits of it showing when the belly band is on. And then you've got your ribbon to tie around. So I'm just going to check this piece if it's long enough. I don't think it's going to. Oh, no, it's not too bad actually. So you're going to just tie your ribbon around your belly band and secure it. I'm going to do this just with a little knot, I think, rather than a full-on bow. There you go. So that's just a little knot. And that's your second card, all finished. I have added my DSP to the envelope as well. And although that does make it quite bulky to put in an envelope, so I probably wouldn't post this one. I'd probably hand deliver this to somebody. But that's it, guys. I'll stop the recording and then we are free to carry on.